Hey guys, welcome back to another video. It's your man Jay. So today we're going to be talking about the phones that people love, iPhones. And will Apple take away the physical buttons on this device? I don't know. But we're going to talk about it today. And I feel like it's a risky move, something that Apple doesn't do. Apple doesn't take risks. So the fact that some people think Apple might take away the actual physical buttons on the device, I'm kind of skeptical of that. So I've been kind of checking out the rumor mill, and I wasn't going to get into this. I wasn't even going to talk much about this, but it's heating up. You know, September is around the corner, and well, let's see, May, June, July. Oh no, we have at least another 6 months. So at the recording of this video. So Apple isn't known for taking huge risks when it comes to their products. They're just not known for it. They're not known for making these big changes mid-cycle. They might throw a color out there after a little bit of time, but they're not taking the risk that other companies are taking, and they're known for this. They've had the same design on their devices for a long time. And I don't foresee it changing anytime soon, unfortunately. I think that the best they could possibly do is change the rear design, give it some contour on the back, obviously bring a lot more colors that might help people decide, changing the camera module location, anything. Do something to make it their own. Now, granted, you can only do so much, but for Apple, it would be a radical change. For them just to move the camera modules all the way across the top, three across the top, three going down the side, the back side, like Samsung and other companies do. Putting this complete different module on there, it would be something radical for them. Even though to the rest of the tech world, it's not radical at all. Everyone's doing it already and have done it for quite some time. So when I think about Apple taking away the physical buttons on their product, if it happens, it happens. I mean, the iPhone has been out since 2007, I believe, and we're in 2023. So they've had enough time to figure out, okay, let's do something sweet for the customers, give them a crazy new design. But unfortunately, Apple, they don't know. Their PR team or the people who do the product placement and who thinks of the design, all these people are like, no, we're not going to change this. We're selling millions of them. Sometimes, taking a risk or change is beneficial to keep you relevant. And, most people, when they talk about Apple products, they just talk about sales and how they're selling a lot. But in reality, the iPhones are definitely not the best phones on the market. Just because they're selling more than other companies, they're just not better than everyone else. There's too many things that it needs to work on. And there's too many things that other companies, they're better than other phones in some departments. Yes, that's great. But it's just too blah. They need to give it a huge refresh and overhaul the device other than just taking away physical buttons. That's not enough. But to the consumers that are just continuously buying and buying, and they just want the next number up. That is the reason that Apple probably has the sales they have, because people who pay attention to tech, we're not so much easily fooled into believing that something is so magical or great. It's just not the case. With a lot of tech enthusiasts, we see it for what it is. Innovation is something that is often not used in the same sentence as Apple. It's used with companies like Samsung, Huawei, Vivo, Xiaomi, all these other companies that are actually innovating in a way that you can physically get gains from it. Apple recycles the same hardware from their devices and call it another device. I hardly call that innovation. So if in fact it is their time, if it's their time to push forward in a new direction, it's going to be good. So now recently they moved to having the iPhones with eSIM only. Now, some people pick at Apple for this, but I think that's an agreement that Apple made with carriers. It's just a phone without a carrier. You can't use it. So I mean, you have to pay attention to these things, folks. eSIM has always been around. I've been using eSIM for years. Most of us have. And the reason it wasn't a conversation is because it wasn't forced on us. Simply put, I had the option to use my physical SIM card or my eSIM, or both at the same time. In most of both situations, if I didn't want to carry a phone, I would take the SIM card out and put it in the phone that has the eSIM, because there's a slot for it. With Apple, they decided no more SIM card. And I believe, in my heart of hearts, I believe that that was a carrier agreement, because this is nothing without the carriers. You can't use it. Apple doesn't have their own cell phone towers and their own cell phone company. They don't. Now, if that would have been exclusive to Apple's, like an Apple cell phone service, okay, cool. Yeah, but it's not. So again, I always tell people, pay attention. Don't ever just do your own research. Think about it. Don't just see what you see past what you see. And I believe that the eSIM move was simply a carrier move to keep you locked into carriers. Because when you think about people, there's people out there who go to the store or run to the carriers for everything. They're just not, and now I don't mean that in a negative or derogatory way. I just mean that they don't think about it. I don't know what to do. Let me call the carrier. Or they just run to the store, and you have to try to figure out things yourself. I know sometimes it's just not an option, but there are more people like that than there are people who say, let me figure this out. That's just what it is. So the eSIM move is definitely, to me, just a way to keep you locked into a carrier. Now let's fast forward to them taking away the buttons. Well, Jay, how does that play a part? Well, first we're talking about portless, right? Apple knows that if they do a portless device, what's one of the worst parts about having an iPhone? Charging speeds. It does not charge fast. So if they go portless, they need to start hollering at the people who make OnePlus 100 watt, 50 watt, 160 watt charger. OnePlus has a 55 or 50 watt wireless charger. It's blazing fast. They're going to need to go that route if they want to take full advantage of their MagSafe with no ports. So that quickly got put aside. Okay, let's go ahead and go to Type-C because of regulations and blah, blah, blah. We're going to go ahead and go Type-C. So Type-C is supposedly going to be on the next generation of the iPhone or the one after that. Who knows? But buttons, to me, are essential, just like a charging brick in the box are essential. Now, the funny part about this technology, the touch sensitive, it's not new. It's been around on other devices for I don't know how long. When HTC announced the squeeze feature, everybody said it was a gimmick. Basically, this is what Apple is doing again, taking technology that other companies didn't capitalize on, didn't market well, as far as motions and hands in phones. Now they're doing it in cars. Again, things that other companies put into position to be very successful, but didn't have the capital or didn't want to spend the capital to market it the right way. It's just that simple. So Apple going with the buttonless iPhone, this conversation, it might happen. But just because you take away the physical buttons on the outside, you still have to press. But the haptic engine has to be realistic. And so let's consider the Magic Trackpad, the big square one. I've had the original one since it came out. Literally still have the same one. Now I've changed to the latest keyboard from Apple, but with the Touch ID and things like that, but I still have the original keyboard and it still charges to 100. It still keeps a long charge for at least months. So I don't know. It still works all these years later. So this is the technology that Apple is basically putting in their phone, I would assume. So just because it doesn't have a physical button doesn't mean it can't break. And again, all these power moves are being made to keep you locked in somewhere. So let's take away the SIM card. That'll force them to stay on the carriers. Taking away the buttons, how does that benefit us? Oh, well, say we're innovating. But in reality, it could be more like repair costs. Because right now, you can probably have your iPhone repaired somewhere and, you can get it off the books and get things fixed. But as a company, Apple is not stupid, and they want to keep all the money. So taking away the buttons is just a silly move to me, because you still have parts that can break. It's just that simple. But who will have to fix those parts? Apple will. So what do they convince people to do? You really need to get AppleCare. You really need to get AppleCare on your phone. I used to carry AppleCare on every iPhone. I recently stopped this year. I never used it. After, I think the last iPhone I broke was the iPhone 7 Plus. I think that was it. I think that might have been the last iPhone I broke, where it slid out of my pocket and cracked on the ground. I think it was that one. Or it was an 8 Plus, one of those phones. But I don't have AppleCare anymore. I decided to stop paying them. As of 2023, I recently stopped putting AppleCare on my devices. Like even down to my laptops and everything. I just don't use it. And so that's money that Apple is getting from you. And I think if they go buttonless, this is another reason why they can increase the price on AppleCare and then also increase the price of repair. So if Apple does this, now you're probably saying, wow, Jay, you're going really deep on the technical side of it. Yeah, I mean, because I've always tried to look out for the consumer for how they spend their money and put it towards these products changing every year. And there's always an out. You don't have to get this next iPhone. I always tell you, you don't have to get it. The test dummies are us. We're buying these products, or some people are being given the products. Some people are buying the products to test and use it and see if it's actually worthy. And you guys are technically test dummies too. If you're just a regular consumer who doesn't do YouTube creation, or you're not a content creator, you're buying these products and you're testing them for Apple as well. When things go wrong, you handle it the same way we handle it. We do a warranty exchange, or we go to the Apple Store, or whatever. But I don't know that taking away the physical buttons on this phone is going to make them any more innovative than they are right now. Apple has powerful products internally with the processors and things like that, neural engines, but no one's really using them. No one's taking advantage of this, but maybe a small percentage of people. The rest of the world who has these phones, they're not really taking advantage of it. Posting on Instagram and Twitter is not very difficult. Taking a picture and posting online is not complicated at all. So, buttonless, portless, Type-C, all these different things. I think Apple should change the design. We need to overhaul before we start taking away buttons. We need to overhaul, another major overhaul in the software. And the hardware, at least the rear of the device, definitely needs an overhaul. But basically, though, I like they stay with the flat screen. I like that. I like the flat sides. It's just this rear area right here seriously needs a change. It just on all of their phones, they need to do something with these modules and make sure that they're doing something to make that is a signature look of an iPhone. So people automatically know that that's an iPhone. But people also know that this is a look of a Samsung device on the rear. And did you know that's Sony? Like if you show a person this, will they know it was Sony if it didn't say Sony? Yeah. I don't know. It depends on what Apple's trying to get at with this thing here with no buttons. If in fact they do it, hey, it is what it is. We're going in that direction. You know, they took away the eSIM. You just go in that direction. So take away the buttons, go in that direction if that's what you choose to do. I do it because it's great. I like to experience all the devices and as a tech enthusiast, but you don't have to. So most people now are keeping their iPhones through they're not upgrading every year. There's more people that don't upgrade than you might believe. There are people out there that really have had the same iPhone for a long time, and they just have no need to change because it still works. That is what Apple does not want you to do. And not just Apple, Samsung, all these companies don't want you to keep your devices. They want you to buy the next device and get your money all over again to keep them profitable. So, this is your man Jay. Hope you guys enjoyed discussion. Buttonless, is it real? Is it not real? Is it going to be called the iPhone 15 Ultra? Already right now, the Pro naming doesn't make the iPhones Pros. There are plenty of other devices that actually have Pro features, and they're not even called Pros. So Apple has some changes to do when it comes to the naming scheme and what they're actually giving the consumers control over. So Ultra is a big step up from Pro, and it's going to really have to if you're going to go Ultra, it's going to have some Ultra features, which I doubt Apple will do. It's your man Jay. Hope you guys enjoyed. I will see you guys in the comment section. Hope you enjoyed the discussion and get to talking down there. Let's talk about it.